Last week, I had the absolute pleasure to go see a movie that I got really excited about when I heard that they were making a new one. And that movie is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now, before I start this whole review, I have to say that Disney really outdid themselves, and they actually literally rolled out the red carpet for this movie. I mean, they really decked out the AMC over at Disney Springs, and it really looked amazing. Just walking up and getting your ticket was really cool, just to see those banners and everything there promoting the movie. And I think this movie really deserves this sort of fanfare, because there's a lot that goes on in this movie that I have to just talk about. Now, before even getting into it, I do have to say that this video will have spoilers in it. So I just would like to let you know, if you didn't see this movie, I will be covering spoilers in this review. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, you can stop this video right now, go out to your nearest theater, watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, then come back, and then let's discuss this movie. Now, if you really don't care about spoilers and really don't care as to what happens in this movie, stick around so that you guys can hear a little bit more about how this movie goes and what I think of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So in this movie, we are first off setting the stage for where these apes are right now. This happens to be a movie that takes place, generations in the future. Some say it's around 300 years after the events of Caesar's death. And that's something that actually starts the movie off. I mean, we see Caesar, the whole funeral for Caesar happening at the very beginning of the movie. And they explain to us that Caesar was a leader and he was nothing like any of the other leaders, because he was the very first ape to, show that humans and apes could theoretically live together equally amongst each other. So understanding who Caesar is actually ends up helping us see the view in which these apes are finally seeing the world, generations in the future. And along the line, we're introduced to Noah, which is the new sort of main ape to the story. He is part of a clan that, raises eagles, and it's a really beautiful thing. You see them going after eggs and respecting nature in a way, and seeing that they are training these, eagles to essentially hunt for them. So they train the eagles to hunt for them, so then they can grab fish, bring back to this clan, and this clan eats the fish. So it's a really nice, cohesive coexistence that they have going on there. Now we start to see that those things don't ultimately go the way that we think. We think that, all apes are living peacefully, and the truth is that that's not the case. And some clans don't know who Caesar is, and we kind of find out along the way, So Noah ends up finding out that a specific clan is kind of like going after specific places and kind of raiding these places and taking apes away from these clans and bringing them in. And I feel like you can actually draw some sort of like a World War II style aesthetic from it, I'm not going to get into any specifics, but you do see that sort of almost dictatorship in a way happen in this movie. We do see him progress through the story. We see the death of his, father, like his dad being murdered, Noah's dad getting murdered. We see a whole lot of different moments in, Noah's life where he's challenged throughout this movie. And when he actually decides to go after these apes who have, wronged him and wronged his entire clan, we see that, along this adventure, he meets up with Raka. Now, Raka is an orangutan who is sort of like the bearer of the words of Caesar. If we were to put Caesar in a specific place, he would be kind of, you can't really call him a deity, but he would be placed amongst the teachings of a deity in a way, because he taught, apes that apes and humans can eventually coexist and work together and be, proactive with one another. And he's kind of showing Noah that the words in which this specific clan that, has attacked various villages and have raided these villages, they're going by Caesar's word in an extreme way, and how words can be misconstrued over time. And that is a brilliant concept for a Planet of the Apes movie in general, I should say. But specifically for this movie, it's interesting because it kind of correlates with where we are right now, with, politics and all these different areas of, analysis. Like, are so-and-so's words accurate to, today's day and age, or are we questioning these things? So, it's very current. What we're seeing in this Planet of the Apes movie is that it's very current, and we're understanding that, these words are being taken out of context, and ultimately, they're going about in a very different way, and going in the, an area of dictatorship. And these, concepts are very important to be shared specifically in this movie, and to kind of open people's minds up. Now, I do have to say that Raka is easily one of my favorite characters in the last couple of years, I have to say. Like, if I were to stop and think about it, Raka is probably one of my favorite characters in a movie in a really long time. And he just instills a level of peace and tranquility and understanding, and he has a certain level of knowledge that just makes you feel like, okay, you can feel calm around him, and that's a beautiful thing. It's so powerful to show that, he doesn't do anything out of anger. He's right there, listen, this is the way Caesar would have wanted things to be done. And, he's someone who has the books in which the teachings are there. It's for us to learn from those things. And to me, that is such a powerful thing. It's such a powerful dynamic that's being introduced there, because we need that as this society in specific for Planet of the Apes. They need that. They need this sort of, guidance to a better, more cohesive existence. And I would love to see this concept explored in the next couple of movies, because they haven't, gone forward and said, hey, we're going to get sequels, but I really hope we do, because I really want to see where Noah progresses on this specific end. And that would be really cool to see, him kind of take on the teachings of, get Noah to actually take on Caesar's words and live by them, and kind of catch up with him a few years down the line and see how they've progressed. That would be a really cool thing to see. Now, in every single Planet of the Apes movie, we have to have a certain human factor. A certain human being has to be involved in the story in some sort of way. And we are introduced to May. Now, May, when we first are introduced to her, we think of her as a savage human being. She's one of the other human beings who are very much Neanderthalic. They are, these cavemen type people that we see who are kind of hunted. And in all honesty, that's a concept we see in the very first Planet of the Apes movie. That is a Planet of the Apes 1 concept that we see. So we are aware that those things happened and are part of this universe. But when we are introduced to May, she doesn't look like the other ones. She doesn't look like the other humans because she's fully dressed, even though she's all, scratched up. She is fully dressed. And she doesn't speak, and she's very quiet and doesn't really, approach people as much, or approach, apes as much at all. So, yeah, in a way, I do see the benefit in her staying quiet. But as we go along, we start to realize that she is a whole lot smarter than we think, up until the point where we see that she can speak normally like everybody, and that she was taught to not speak. And that has strategy behind it. And that's where you start to question, where is she from? What exactly happened? What kind of background does she have? And we start to find out later, and with time, we start to realize where she's coming from and what her goals are. And I think the inclusion of May in the story is so important. And I do see her showing up and popping up in the future films, because that relationship, that correlation she has with Noah is very, very, very important. And it's two beings, whether it be an ape or a human, two beings kind of trying to protect their species. And to understand where her loyalty lies is kind of strange, because you don't know if she's 100% with the humans, you don't know if she's 100% with the apes. What we do know is that she's a human being and she's on a mission. And that mission ultimately is to get into a vault. But before she can get into a vault, they get caught. And they get caught by this clan. The clan that is led by Proximus, which is... They say he's a descendant of Caesar. He calls himself Proximus Caesar because he says that he is, taking on the learnings of, Caesar, and he is proactively using Caesar's words in a very strong way, and that they must unite all apes in some sort of way. And we start to see how toxic this guy can really be. We see that his mentality is very dictatorship-like, but, this movie would not be as compelling as it is if it weren't for a good villain. Like, it doesn't make any sense for you to put a villain in this movie that doesn't feel believable at this point in time. Because think about it. You're gonna make a monkey or an ape live his life like a normal ape or something. No. These are generations down the line. It's not apes trying to be more human-like. It's apes trying to figure out, what is a society supposed to be like? How are we building a society? And you have these individual clans that are trying to figure out that as they go. So, you have the Eagle clan who raises eagles and they live a peaceful life. They have their own village. They're not, interfering with anybody else. They're just really nice, beings living their lives on their own. While this clan that's, out in the ocean, they're trying to, be very dictatorship-like and taking apes away from their families and bringing them together, by force. And that's another concept that you have to wrestle with in this movie, which is very interesting and compelling and actually helps this movie grow in a lot of ways. So it's fantastic to see that happening, because you start to see that things are breaking apart. Apes complain so much about, human beings being, these savages that puts people in cages and everything, and puts apes in cages, I should say. And ultimately now these apes are kind of living out human errors of their own. So it is really interesting to see those things build on and progress throughout the story. And that's something I want to see how it's going to progress in future movies as well, because those are all human concepts that are being amplified, and we should definitely listen to them. Now, at this campsite, we figure out that they built this area to try to get into a vault. And this vault happens to have a lot of human technology. Not just any human technology. We're talking about all the technology possible to, literally go up against humans. I mean, they have war tanks, they have Humvees, they have all the weapons you could think of. And you also have, a radio station inside. And believe it or not, May's mission is to go inside this vault and take a specific item, a specific key that will allow, whoever it is that she's trying to help communicate with somebody. And that mission goes well. I really like that dynamic, by the way, of, seeing, both of them work together to actually, help May, and, seeing Noah and seeing his friends go along. That's a really great little, moment there that you see their friend, the three of them go together and help out May. Those are really cool little moments that I really do enjoy. And we start to see that May is a lot more resourceful than we thought. So we start to realize that she knows what she's doing, she knows what she's hiding, she knows how she's going to do what she's going to do, and she's very much has her entire game plan played out. So I think that at this point in the movie is when you start to realize May is not just any dumb human. She is working for something much bigger. And that is also something that is revealed later in the movie. We start to realize that May is a part of a group of human beings who are still alive, who are living their lives in, these deep shelters, and they are trying to communicate with other parts of the world. And that is something that I really would like to explore in future movies. Specifically, I'd like to understand a little bit more about May and her upbringing, and, how she was with her parents growing up, and all these little details that could really increase the quality of the story. And, all in all, looking at this entire movie as a whole, I think it was a very comfortable experience. I think that this is a movie that, it's weird to call it cozy, but it's a cozy movie. It's a really cozy, comfortable movie that you can sit down and watch. It's a good movie. It really is a good movie. If you are looking for a really good movie to watch in theaters, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is a great example of a movie that you can just sit back, relax, enjoy. And, there are moments where you're going to be kind of surprised and tensed. But all in all, it is a very comfortable viewing experience that I think most people will enjoy watching. So do I recommend you go see it in theaters? And that is a resounding absolutely. This is a movie that deserves to be seen on a big screen. And if you haven't seen the movie already and you're watching this, I'm imagining that by now this movie will have another 2 or 3 weeks in theaters. So go see it, even if it's in a smaller room and you want to see it in the theaters with the theater sound and it's in a smaller theater room, go see it in there. I am telling you, you will not be disappointed when you see this movie, because it is beautiful. The visual effects are beautiful. Every little detail is exquisitely made. I mean, honestly, I did not find a single major flaw with this movie whatsoever. And I think that most people are going to say, oh, this movie is a little too long for me. I'm not really into long movies. But to be honest, I didn't feel a single moment in this movie like it was dragging. Like, I just didn't feel this movie dragging. There are movies where I watch that are like 2.5 hours, and I'm like, you know what? They could have shaved at least another 45 minutes of this movie just so that we could, increase the pace. But this movie doesn't have that. I think this movie is very well paced. It really does take its time to tell a story and build characters that you're going to care about. And that is the key here, is that you really are going to end this movie caring about these characters, where in some cases you probably wouldn't care. So that's, I really do think that's a great thing that they did in how they built the characters. And all that I have said of this movie is 100% my opinion, my views, how I see this movie being. But I want to turn this over to you guys. I want to know from you, do you think this movie is an interesting thing? Are you going to go see it in theaters? Are you going to wait till it's on streaming, or when you can rent it or buy it online? What exactly are your emotions toward any Planet of the Apes movies? I want you to put those answers down below in the comments and tell me, because I want to have those discussions with you. And if you are already down there, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live on this channel. And thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video.
Scrolling through YouTube, same old routine, then bam, movie savant, what a scene. Trivia bombshells dropping knowledge like rain. Forget the dishes, gotta watch it again. Movie buffs unite, savants to place. Subscribe and hit the bell, don't leave a trace. Next level knowledge keeps you in the loop. Savants got the scoop, ain't nothing to recoup.